We got him. They're down in the ditch.
This car came up stolen.
Look around.
He's wrecked. He's wrecked.
No matter where you are, at any second, it could happen to you.
Oh, man, he needs some help.
Because desperate criminals use desperate measures. No matter who gets in the way.
Oh, boy.
For the next 60 minutes, you'll get a close-up view of what officers see every day. You'll ride shotgun in the most terrifying chases on the road.
Clear him out of there.
You'll feel the heat
We have fire.
of the most explosive acts of criminal insanity ever captured on tape. Much of this footage has never been viewed by the public. Police and news agencies send us their most shocking videos.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun.
So that you can know what they know. That to let your guard down, even for an instant,
Get in, Anders.
could mean disaster.
He's going to run the red light. He's going to run it.
So crank up your TV and don't turn away, because real life happens in the blink of an eye.
Shut your truck off.
I'm Sheriff John Bunnell. The crime that ends with an arrest at the side of a road doesn't start here. It starts weeks or years before, in the mind of a criminal who thinks he can beat the law. The officers involved send us these videos so that you can see not only what the criminals are doing, but what police are doing to stop them. Because it was true when they first said it, and it's true now. Crime does not pay. Romeo, Michigan. Moments ago, Officer Greg Paduch tried to stop this pickup for erratic driving.
Copy westbound on Gates toward Campground Road.
Now the suspect's doing 70, and Paduch finds himself in his first high-speed pursuit after 11 years on the job.
Now, luckily on this day in Michigan it was sunny and the road conditions were good. Now on another day, if it was snowy or icy out, my decision to pursue him may have been different.
What the officer doesn't know is that the suspect is high on crack and still has a stash of rock in his vehicle.
Campground Road, speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour.
As Paduch follows the fugitive down an unpaved road, his pursuit training comes back to him.
Your vehicle has a tendency to slip and slide in the rear on these dirt roads, so if you hit a deep enough pothole, your vehicle could possibly lose control.
Other officers rally to lend Paduch a hand.
Romeo, the deputy in the area.
A county unit lays out spikes, but the suspect avoids the trap. Paduch stays in the chase by following the fugitive's path.
Copy. He missed the spike.
Now with 2 units on his tail, the suspect takes to paved roads again. On the crowded highway, the fugitive really opens it up. Zipping around slower vehicles, the runner quickly builds a big lead.
184, what is your location?
But Paduch doesn't panic. He radios ahead for another cruiser to pick up the chase and uses an open stretch of road to close the gap.
Copy. 185, subject still westbound.
But just as he catches up, an eager deputy leaps into the pursuit, almost sideswiping the veteran officer. The near miss slows Paduch down, and the suspect takes off in the confusion. But Paduch catches up when the fugitive is slowed by traffic. Seeing the officer back on his tail, the runner takes to the median. It may have been 11 years since Paduch was in the academy, but he knows better than to follow this pickup onto rough terrain. But when the suspect tries it again, Paduch is blocked. He has to take the risk. The officer loses traction and flounders in the icy median. Meanwhile, the fugitive gets back on the highway. For now, it's up to the deputy to keep the pressure on. Scrambling to regain the road, Paduch is thrown into a fishtail. He pulls out of the skid moments before hitting a civilian.
184, respond.
The officer re-enters the chase, just as the last cruiser shoots past him. Up ahead, the suspect finally hits a set of spikes. When Paduch catches up, he finds the fugitive's radials are already smoking.
The Shelby Township officers threw out some stop sticks down a 23-mile road and were successful in flattening the front tires of the suspect vehicle at that time.
Paduch pulls up on the right shoulder. He can see the pickup is ready for a takedown. He keeps up the pressure on the suspect's right. Suddenly, one of the SUVs makes his move, pulling in front to block the suspect off. The driver cuts in front of Paduch and slips through. The two officers tried to catch the fugitive in his squeeze play. They didn't know he'd push through and bail into a snowbank.
And before I knew it, I was looking at the rear end of the sheriff's vehicle. The next thing I knew, I had deflating airbags in front of me. It happened so fast.
The suspect was captured within minutes of the crash. Whether it's your first chase or your 50th,
Campground Road, speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour.
every pursuit will have its fair share of surprises. But police training, even if it's 11 years old, is better than a felon's wild driving any day. That's why these cops came out on top, even if the end of this pursuit didn't go as planned. Livonia, Michigan. Officers are out on snowy streets, searching for a violent stalker.
Possible coming down.
Armed and dangerous, the man in this SUV has been accused of threatening the lives of his ex-wife and her boyfriend.
We're gonna light him up.
To confirm his identity, police hit the spotlight, and the suspect hits the gas.
And he's not gonna stop. He's going for a ride.
He speeds off, straddling lanes at 85 miles per hour.
Permission ramp. Use your discretion.
The police weigh the possibility of using a pit maneuver.
Road conditions are wet.
But at these speeds and on these slick streets, ramming the SUV could easily cause a fatal flip.
We're going to attempt to maneuver a pit once his miles per hour slows down.
But police are losing patience as this chase grows increasingly perilous.
Going through the red light.
Fueled by jealous rage, the driver tears through cross streets at breakneck speeds. A moment later, he blazes toward another car, jerking the wheel away at the last second.
Almost lost it. Active.
This criminal is not only a menace to the people he knows, now he's endangering every stranger in his path.
Southbound 275.
As they head to an on-ramp, police realize their window of opportunity is closing. It won't be safe to pit the SUV at freeway speeds. This sweeping curve is their last chance. The officer shifts his cruiser side to side, jockeying for position next to the fugitive.
Careful, we got the flick.
There's only 100 yards left. It's now or never. His aim is dead on. He pits the vehicle perfectly. The SUV skids onto a rocky incline, instantly loses power and rolls back.
Got a crash radio.
The cruiser bulldozes the paralyzed vehicle aside. Now other units storm in, overwhelming the suspect and putting an end to his vengeful rampage.
You're okay, radio. You can custody.
Inside this SUV, police find a 9mm rifle, plenty of ammunition,
We're gonna light him up.
and one very dangerous individual.
Almost lost it.
Police knew exactly how to stop him.
Permission ramp.
The question was when. With time running out, the officers took their shot and took him in, alive. That's 3 lives saved in one night. Livonia, Michigan. Police are hot on the trail of a paroled heroin addict who apparently hasn't gone straight. To support his drug habit, he's planning to sell this stolen car as soon as he can lose the police. This junkie is so reckless, Officers don't dare let him out of their sight.
Vehicle just went through a red light.
But the cocky criminal waves at the officers, convinced that escape is just around the bend.
He's still running.
And he's almost proven correct. The police target the car and ram its back fender. The suspect is able to slide away, but a large oak tree isn't so lucky. The crash cops are okay, and another cruiser jumps in to take their place. Without skipping a beat, these officers close the gap on the suspect. They take a second shot at ramming the car. But the slippery suspect twists through a parking lot and around a building. As soon as the driver hits a straightaway, he's determined to gain some distance on the cops, even if that means flooring it through intersections. But the officers stay close behind, fighting traffic and a blinding sun. Police hound the driver to a dead end, but there's no such thing to this guy. The officer has to squeeze his cruiser around a house. As he twists out onto the other side, backup units spot the suspect tearing through front yards.
He's driving across the lawn.
But as the driver speeds past the last house, his car bounces off a boulder and flips onto the street. The officer dashes to the corner to see the vehicle belly up.
He crashed.
Now, this criminal is upside down and in a world of trouble. After a trip to the hospital, he's going to jail. Suspects who run from the law don't always realize when an officer runs into trouble, he's got backup, and the chase goes on. But when a crook makes a mistake, he's done. Coming up on police videos, the chases cops dread the most. A violent drunk makes an assault on police. A rampaging thief makes mayhem in rush hour. And teens gone wild make the mistake of their lives. Next. An officer trying to keep up with a fleeing suspect has to be constantly aware of public safety. That puts the cop at a huge disadvantage because the bad guy has only one focus: getting away. Orchard Lake, Michigan. It's 5 o'clock and rush hour is in high gear. But not everyone on the road is coming home from work. Officer Larry Halo has just spotted a stolen minivan. Unfortunately, the driver of the van has also spotted the officer. With an opening ahead, the suspect punches the gas.
All right, head north.
Although the outlaw is dead set on getting away, Halo's up to the challenge.
We have them on now for a felony for fleeing.
But he also has a community to look out for. The officer's #1 priority is keeping the public safe. The suspect races down a jam-packed boulevard. As Halo closes in, the fugitive jukes to the right and then swerves back onto the highway, trying to rattle the officer. Halo could now see that this guy will do whatever it takes to get off clean, and he's willing to pay the price, even if it means buying his freedom with the lives of innocent civilians. Suddenly, a motorist pulls to the right, barely missing the van. But the suspect recovers, unscathed and undaunted. Building momentum, the outlaw races for the next intersection. He rides the curb and charges ahead, turning a blind eye to oncoming traffic. A civilian casualty was narrowly avoided. This is exactly the kind of reckless endangerment that Halo's not willing to risk. The streets were too crowded. The suspect had gotten too reckless. Too many people's lives were in danger. The decision is made to call off the pursuit. The suspect disappears into the distance. But if you think Officer Halo gave up too soon, watch as an eerily similar situation unfolds in nearby Detroit. Another minivan refuses to stay put at a police stop.
I got him. He's running.
The suspect dashes toward an intersection, but the light is still red. This pursuit ends before the officer even has a chance to call it off. It's a miracle neither the suspect nor the truck's driver are seriously hurt. To chase or not to chase? That is the question officers must ask every time a crook decides to flee. Because sometimes it's better to let a bad guy go than to have one innocent pay the price for someone else's crime. Springdale, South Carolina. For these 5 teenagers, a night of fun means swiping a fast car for a wild joyride. And running from the cops just adds to the excitement. What they don't realize is their stolen Mazda matches the description of a car fleeing a stick-up job. The police think these thrill-seeking youngsters are actually heavily armed outlaws.
Speed's now at 100 miles an hour.
The officers are sure they're chasing the right guys when they see the car driving against traffic. They think the suspects are criminals willing to do anything to get away.
Driving on the wrong side of the road right now.
Police don't know that the kids, in their haste to ditch the cops, simply blundered into the wrong lane. The officers stay close behind as the Mazda maneuvers onto residential roads. Fumbling through unfamiliar streets, they turn straight into a cul-de-sac. Out of road and out of luck, these youngsters sadly admit their wild night has come to an end and stop the car. The officers grit their teeth and prepare for a tense showdown. But the culprits step out of the car without weapons and without putting up a fight.
Get down on the ground right now.
The cops are relieved and surprised, but not as stunned as the teenagers. They began the evening looking for laughs and ended it staring down the barrel of a cop's gun.
They are getting identity this time now.
This case of mistaken identity nearly became a case of life or death.
Driving on the wrong side of the road right now.
Because these guys thought breaking the law was all fun and games. But they were really playing with fire. Coming up on police videos.
Now I got him, he's right there.
When these criminals don't get their way,
Be careful.
they start losing control. A cordial crook
Let me get $5, please.
loses his manners. A drunk driver loses his temper.
Give me my ticket so I can get the home.
And a restless car thief loses his mind. Next. It's the moment a convenience store clerk dreads. A crook walks through the door waving a pistol and demanding cash. But while most crooks clearly mean business, some are very hard to take seriously. Orange County, Florida. You're about to see one of the most bizarre armed robberies ever caught on tape.
Let me get the money, please.
This criminal is called the Wig Bandit.
Come on, hurry up. I have to go.
But he might as well be the Invisible Man.
Think I'm playing? I don't want to do shot and nothing here, you know.
The clerk clearly isn't intimidated, and neither is this customer, who casually strolls to the counter to pay for his coffee.
Put it in the back. Hurry up.
The frustrated felon simply doesn't grasp how to command authority.
Hey, where you going? Come here. Okay, hurry up.
Customers continue to enter, unaware that a robbery is even taking place. The cashier hits a silent alarm. Now she's stalling for time. But her foot dragging finally pushes the crook over the edge. Suddenly, the threat is very real.
Hey, where you going, man? Chill out. I act like a person, right? So, 59.
Disappointed with the take from the register, the bandit tries to supplement his haul.
I think you like a person, right? Let me get $5, please. No. Let me get $5. No.
Even with the gun, it's like he's the Rodney Dangerfield of robbers. No respect.
I'm going to count like a 3. 1.
What's the money to your life, sir?
Nah, I'm going to 2. I'm going to slap.
Sir, this is
1.
money.
Do it, man, please. I'm nice. $5.
The customer haggles him down to $2. The robber leaves, but not before making sure of one thing.
I think you're nice, right? Can't say nothing.
They'll definitely speak kindly of him to the police. This cordial crook was apprehended soon after the robbery. He was carrying the cash from the register plus $2. With this tape as evidence, he was sentenced to 5 years in jail. But there's always a chance he'll get time off
I think you're nice, right?
for good behavior. Fairfax County, Virginia. A state trooper is being led deep into unfamiliar territory.
Yeah, we're going off the curb. We're still northbound here.
Fortunately, help is just overhead.
Fairfax 1 to Virginia State, we have the pursuit inside.
Now, the trooper can get his bearings. And some help on the ground.
Fairfax 1, be advised, we are contacting our unit.
The fugitive pours on the speed, never realizing the police ahead are setting a trap.
Have units ahead of the pursuit at this point.
The driver is so distracted by outrunning the trooper that he barely has time to see the ambush.
Yeah, stop it.
His left front tire gets ripped to the rim.
Fairfax 1, he just turned into a subdivision. He has lost a tire.
One wheel down, the suspect's confidence is shaken.
Fairfax 1, he is in a new housing construction development at this time.
The fugitive blunders onto a dead-end road.
We have a bailout. He's in foot pursuit.
Instantly, ground units corner him and take him down.
The subject is in custody. The pursuit has terminated. Rock and roll.
Suspects who run from police helicopters always seem to forget the same thing. With their bird's eye view, the pilots can direct ground units every step of the way.
Just turned into a subdivision.
So no matter how well the suspect thinks he knows the road, as soon as the chopper cops get involved, running is just an exercise in futility.
The subject is in custody. Rock and roll.
Surfside, South Carolina. Police just pulled over a speeder who's not too happy about being caught.
45 miles an hour.
Sir, I'm sorry about this.
Now give me my ticket so I can get the home.
The man seems intent on yelling his way out of the ticket, but his wife takes a different approach.
It has been a rough year.
Okay.
We have had breast cancer. We have had a lot of problems.
I don't need this.
As the man continues his vulgar tirade, backup arrives. They see the patrolman has things well in hand, but they stand by just in case.
What I need to see is your driver's license, your registration, and your
I'm gonna
insurance.
get my driver's license.
Sir, sorry. It has been a very tough
I'm
year.
gonna go see my damn lawyer, too.
That's fine, sir.
The man and woman are doing their very own version of good cop, bad cop, hoping to avoid a ticket. But the real cop isn't going for it.
Speed limit out here is 45.
I know, it's going 50.
I clocked you doing 59 and a
No,
45.
you didn't clock me at 59. I got speed armor here. I was over 50.
The officer gets a whiff of the man's breath. He realizes this guy's rage might be fueled by alcohol.
How much have you had to drink this evening?
Nothing to drink. We just came back from damn. Where'd we come from?
The officer knows the man was speeding and must now determine if he's been drinking.
3, 4. I can't hold it up. You can't hold it up at all. 9, 10, 11, 12.
The officer confirms what he had suspected. The man is drunk. The officer isn't going to let him back behind the wheel.
What I need you to do is turn around and put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest right now for DUI. What DUI? You don't want to fight. You don't want to do it. Sir,
After a brief struggle, the man is put into the back of the cruiser. Even with her husband in custody, the wife continues to play out her role.
I'm on treatment and I need to get off at 3:30 to call because you guys don't understand.
we do understand.
I don't think you do, but that's not the problem here.
Finally, she gives up and goes home, something these cops have been waiting for all night.
Hey, you know how to pick them. I know.
This was a simple traffic stop, but the husband and wife tried to play a con game on police.
45 miles an hour.
Sir, I'm sorry about this.
But this officer wasn't falling for it, especially when he smelled alcohol.
How much have you had to drink this evening? Nothing to drink.
Hopefully, these two learned a valuable lesson. If you think you can con a cop, think again. Just ahead on police videos. It's not the perfect crime unless they get away.
Nah, I got him. He's right there.
They were caught in the act.
Get quiet, I'm right behind him.
But they're not going to go quietly. They're on the verge of freedom, but one wrong move from jail. Next. Technology, criminal acts are as plain as day, even in the middle of the night.
You got 21 in progress.
Cocoa Beach, Florida. Armed with an infrared camera, police respond to a silent alarm at a pier top restaurant.
Okay, he's up and running toward the west side of the center of the restaurant roof area.
They spot a would-be burglar who panics when he sees the helicopter. But no matter where he runs, the camera follows easily.
He's all the way at the end of the pier, all the way at the far inside of the pier.
That is until he escapes into the pilings beneath the dock. But the helicopter pilot intends to maintain sight of the suspect. The only way to do so is to fly dangerously close to the choppy water.
Okay, start of those units. He has not jumped in the water yet. He's still on the dock underneath it.
The officers switch to regular video and identify the suspect.
It's gonna be a white male, black t-shirt, jean shorts.
The spotlight panics the intruder, and despite the razor-sharp barnacles which slice him on the way down, he slips into the biting sting of the salt water.
Star, you might want to get a boat or something out here. I think he just slipped down in the water.
The great escape seems to be working. Police lose sight of him in the waters below. But the burglar can only hold his breath for so long. When he resurfaces,
Yeah, there he is. He's on the north side swimming.
the officers immediately spot him.
Put it in the video.
He's doing a dead man's float.
The tired man treads water, desperately trying to keep from drowning. Police are not sure how much longer he can hold on. An officer heads into the ocean, aware of the dangers of making an arrest chest high in the surf.
Just be advised, he's standing up now. He can't walk.
He gets pummeled by the waves. But fortunately, the man is too exhausted to struggle.
Okay, they got him.
In the darkness of the pier, the suspect thought he was invisible.
See? Okay.
He had no idea how closely he was being watched.
He has not jumped in the water yet. He's still on the dock underneath it.
He's hot now.
But even with high-tech reconnaissance,
Put it in the video.
it took some good old-fashioned manpower to go into the water and fish this guy out.
Okay, they got him.
Hampton, Georgia. A woman is pulled over for erratic driving. She seems cooperative enough.
Is this your vehicle, ma'am?
You know, a friend of mine.
But the woman is restless. Her body language is a sign to the officer that there's more to this traffic stop than meets the eye.
Do you have any weapons on you or anything? Would you mind turning your pockets inside out for me?
The woman is clean, but she's not the only person in the truck.
Who's just in the car with you?
My daughter and a friend of mine.
The officer asks the friend to step out of the vehicle.
You got any knives, needles, any weapons on you?
No, sir.
You mind if I search your pockets real quick?
Within seconds, he finds a knife. The man lied to him.
Where you got a knife like this for?
I do construction work.
But the officer is sure the man is hiding more than a knife. The suspect's physical behavior is just as suspicious as the woman's.
Keep hands in your pockets, man. Make me nervous.
Sure enough, the officer's search turns up a telltale baggie in the man's pocket.
What's that?
And he bolts. But the young felon doesn't get far before he's tackled and arrested. Meanwhile, the driver can't believe what's happened. As backup takes the man into custody, the officer records the evidence with the dash cam, proving his instincts were right on target. Across town, a suspect already knows he's in hot water. He and another man have been caught red-handed with a stolen car.
Now tell me again why you were driving.
The officer is aware he has to keep close tabs on these car thieves.
I was just taking a ride corner for a spin.
The officer tries to keep things friendly as he waits for backup to arrive. But the suspect's body language shows he's itching for a fight.
Take your hands out of your pocket one more time, please.
The suspect shifts on his feet and looks around apprehensively. All warning signs to the officer that the man could go off at any second.
Put your hands out there for me.
Assistance arrives, and the officer tries to put this ticking bomb under restraint.
I'll back you down because I'm fixing to arrest you, sir.
Wait, you paid, man. Hey, don't stop fighting.
The man explodes, but the officers are ready. It takes two of them to bring him under control.
Stop fighting right now.
Even the threat of pepper spray doesn't faze him. A third officer uses his spray to subdue the suspect, and he finally goes down. It's enough to convince the crook's partner that trying to run just isn't worth the trouble. These criminals thought they could hide their true intentions,
You have any weapons on you or anything?
but they were outsmarted by police trained to pay close attention to body language.
Take your hands out of your pocket one more time.
Because for officers, reading a suspect accurately can mean the difference between life
Stop fighting right now.
and death. Next, on police videos, crooks who think they know it all.
He's still running.
A disoriented car thief
Oh, he just misses him.
thinks he knows all the roads.
He just keeps driving through this same neighborhood.
A drunk driver thinks he knows all the moves. And a band of juvenile delinquents think they know all the shortcuts.
Be careful.
But what these felons don't know can definitely hurt them. Every now and then, a suspect in a pursuit will try some trick they've seen on television. But if they think they can beat a cop at his own game, they're wrong. Macomb County, Michigan. It's 15 minutes to midnight on December 31st. And Officer Jeffrey Budzanowski is about to bring in the new year with a bang.
I'm right behind him.
Several deputies are already in hot pursuit of a DUI suspect. When Budzanowski joins them, they make their move. The lead officer in the SUV blocks him in and forces him to slow down.
Careful, car 6, be careful.
Suddenly, the suspect tries a cop trick of his own. Budzanowski hits him once, then hits him twice. Third time's the charm, and the driver's down for the count. Although the suspect succeeded in spinning the officer, he left himself vulnerable. The hit swung the Lincoln completely around, exposing the car's broadside. It was a jarring combination that took the suspect out for good.
Get your hands up! Do not move!
Conditions may make things difficult, but the suspect is not getting away.
Subject in custody.
Police have him in cuffs before the clock strikes 12.
Come on, you can get in front of him.
This hot rod thought he could stop the cops by performing a pit maneuver. After all, he'd seen it on TV. How hard could it be? It took an experienced deputy to show him how it's done. and remind him to never try this at home.
Get your hands up! Get your hands up!
Los Angeles, California. Most LA pursuits end up on the freeway, but this fugitive from justice can't seem to find one.
He just keeps driving through this same neighborhood.
He stole this SUV in an unfamiliar area, and he keeps circling the same streets. He's already passed this corner 4 times. Even the dog is getting annoyed, and he's up against cops who patrol this area every day.
He just ran another stop sign.
This disoriented runner turns any way he can, even into other cars.
He's trying to get by the truck here. Whoa! That's a collision. Therefore, that truck doesn't know what hit him.
The accident could have been much worse if this pedestrian weren't so quick on his feet. But the suspect keeps on going, oblivious that every turn takes him farther away from his goal.
Oh! He barely misses another car.
He's been around this one block so many times, residents greet him like an old friend.
People are coming out of their houses to watch this pursuit.
Cops stay on the driver's tail as amused locals shout encouragement. Of course, what the crook really needs is for someone to shout directions. The spectators may enjoy the chase, but the suspect's recklessness doesn't endear him to other drivers.
Almost hits that car trying to get out of his way.
You can bet they want to tell him exactly where to go. Suddenly, the robber sees a ticket out. This main thoroughfare has got to lead to a freeway.
He's on Alameda. He's going to have to deal with a lot more traffic now.
But what he gets is just a long street full of gridlock.
He's on the wrong side of the road.
He suddenly realizes that this road does lead to the freeway, but in the other direction. So the confused criminal turns off this street to reverse course, and he runs smack dab into another police car.
And the officer is pulling aside to let him through.
The cruiser closes off the suspect's path to the freeway, funneling him back around the same block again. Increasingly aggravated by the South Central maze, he doesn't care who he hurts now.
There's a man on a bicycle that, just misses him. That was extremely dangerous.
He finally finds a road without traffic. It seems like the perfect escape route, but there's a very good reason this street is so empty. It's a dead end. And it's exactly where police were trying to get him.
He tries to turn. They've got him boxed in, trapped. They've got their guns drawn. He's not coming out.
The suspect stubbornly refuses to emerge from his stolen vehicle. Maybe it's because he's dizzy from driving in circles, or he might just be embarrassed.
They've got him, suspect in custody.
Because this was one of the most inept escape attempts these officers have ever seen. After getting an unexpected tour of LA's Watts district,
Whoa! That's a collision.
this criminal was taken down just 2 blocks from the freeway. It's a road that might have been his ticket to freedom.
That was extremely dangerous.
Instead, it's the route the cops used to take him downtown. Coming up on police videos,
Be careful.
they're on the edge of adulthood and the brink of escape.
Stop pursuing the city limits.
But these juvenile offenders should have stayed on the playground, because one of them is about to learn a lesson he'll never forget. Next. When kids run from the law, they think the worst-case scenario is juvenile hall. But there are some consequences worse than getting caught by the cops. Oak Park, Michigan. A midnight car alarm sets off a high-speed chase toward Detroit city limits.
We had a crime spree going on with stolen vehicles, and this gang was hitting Jeep Cherokees. And we had lost 10 or 12 of them in the previous 3 weeks.
But there's a hitch to the pursuit. Oak Park policy prevents officers from continuing a chase out of their jurisdiction. The officers have to catch the gang red-handed before they cross into Detroit, or they'll get away scot-free. The juvenile delinquents create their own shortcut through a playground. making the most of the Jeep's four-wheel drive. Cruisers take their lumps and keep following. Cutting past the swing sets, one officer races to head the suspects off. But the Jeep rumbles past them, back onto the pavement. With the Detroit City line just a few blocks away, time is running out.
77, northbound.
Officer Don Gundy turns head-on toward the pursuit. He's the only cop left between the suspects and their escape.
I knew that I had to stop them. I know if they get past me, they got a free shot home, and they'll get away.
Hey, be careful.
The officer hogs the road. If the young punks want out, they'll have to do it the hard way. The driver suddenly veers onto a cross street and rams into a parked car. One of the kids tries to bail out, but the violent ride's not over yet. With a chunk of its bumper dragging under one wheel, the Jeep loses traction and turns too wide. The hampered rear wheel snagged on the curb, sending the SUV plowing over a tree. The top-heavy vehicle flipped belly up and bashed the boys against the roof. Two of the passengers scrambled out through the shattered windows. The driver and a fourth accomplice are nabbed on the scene. An officer spots one of the others running into the night. They soon catch him and make a startling discovery. It turns out the kid picked the worst possible time to try and ditch his friends. Impact slammed the door on his hand. When the cops track him down, he's in desperate need of medical attention, his hand permanently disfigured. These juvenile delinquents played a dangerous game in the adult world of crime, thinking their age would protect them from any long-term punishment. But in the real world, some penalties cannot be reduced with good behavior. Because no matter how lenient the law may be due to their age, at least one of the kids will be paying the price long after his childhood ends. Bad guys know no bounds. Whether it means assaulting officers, off-roading in the suburbs, or blasting through cross traffic, some criminals will do anything to get away. Because they know that officers do have limits. Once in a while, that means calling off a pursuit. But it never means giving up for good. Because officers will use whatever's at their disposal to bring the bad guys down.
Dinner and possible romance is about to be rudely interrupted by Kane's henchman for Sydney here and Vaughan as the spy drama continues for another mission in moments. It's Alias here next tonight on 5.
Live view.
Hey! Come on, move your butt, you're blocking traffic.